Most men think they understand what attracts a woman. They believe it's about being charming, saying the right compliments, or keeping the conversation going. So they try harder, they text more, they give more attention, they become more available, and somehow the more they give, the less she responds. Here's what nobody tells you. It's not about effort. It's not about constant availability, and it's definitely not about being the nicest guy in her messages. The men who attract women without chasing, without overthinking, without constantly proving themselves, they understand something most men completely miss. They understand emotional language, not the language of words alone, but the language of feeling. And there are 5 specific words that, when used correctly, create a shift in how a woman sees you, not because they're magic, not because they're tricks, but because they tap into something deeper than surface-level conversation. They create presence, they communicate certainty, and most importantly, they make her feel something real, something she doesn't feel with most men. Keisha here, and in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what those 5 words are, why they work on a psychological level, and how to use them in a way that feels natural, not forced. Because once you understand this, you won't need to guess what to say anymore. You'll know how to communicate in a way that makes you unforgettable. Most men get ignored not because they are unappealing, but because they are predictable. They enter conversations with a script in their head. They ask the same questions, they give the same compliments, they follow the same patterns as every other man she has spoken to that week. And when you sound like everyone else, you become part of the noise. You blend into the background of her life. Not because you lack value, but because you failed to present it in a way that stirs her emotions. You see, the human brain is wired to notice contrast. When a woman experiences the same type of conversation over and over, her brain stops paying attention. It categorizes it as predictable, safe perhaps, but entirely unremarkable. But when something feels different, when a man communicates with a kind of quiet authority and emotional depth that she rarely encounters, her brain wakes up, it pays attention, it starts to engage. This is where the psychology of attraction truly begins. It is not a logical process. A woman does not sit down with a checklist and decide to feel drawn to you because you said the right thing. She feels something first, then her mind tries to rationalize it later. That feeling is what you are aiming for, and that feeling is triggered by 2 fundamental psychological signals: certainty and recognition. Certainty means you know who you are and what you want. It means your words are not filled with hesitation or apology. Recognition means you see her, not just her appearance, but her essence, her mind, her character. When you combine certainty and recognition in the same breath, something profound happens. You create an emotional experience that lingers long after the conversation ends. Older men understand this intuitively. They do not waste time with guesswork. They do not dance around their intentions. When a man has lived through a few decades, he stops trying to perform. He realizes that time is precious, and he no longer has the patience for superficial games. He knows what he values, and he is not afraid to express it. So, what are these 5 words? I want you, I value you. 5 words. 2 distinct statements, 1 powerful psychological impact. Let us break them down. First, I want you. Most men never say this directly. They hint at it, they suggest it, they test the waters with phrases like, maybe we should hang out sometime, or I would love to see you again if you're free. On the surface, these statements seem polite, they seem respectful, but beneath the surface, they communicate uncertainty. They tell her that you are afraid of rejection. They tell her that you are waiting for her permission before you dare to express your own desires. An older man does not do this. He simply says, I want you, or I want to see you, or I want to take you out. There is no guessing, no confusion. There is only clear, calm direction. Why is this so powerful from a psychological standpoint? Because certainty is one of the most attractive qualities a man can possess.
When you state your desire without hesitation, it signals that you are comfortable with yourself. It shows that you are not begging for approval. You are simply presenting your truth. This creates a sense of masculine energy that she can lean into. It provides structure. It tells her that you are a man who leads rather than a man who waits to be led. But let us be very clear about the energy behind this. This is not about aggression. It is not about entitlement. It is not about demanding anything from her. There's a profound difference between pressure and presence. Pressure feels suffocating. It feels like you are trying to take something from her. Presence feels grounded. It feels like you are offering her a clear path forward. When you say, "I want you," with a calm, grounded presence, it does not feel heavy. It feels deeply attractive. And here's something most men overlook. When you communicate with that level of clarity, you actually make things easier for her. She does not have to decode your messages. She does not have to wonder what your intentions are. She can simply respond to the reality you have presented. But here's where many men make a crucial mistake. They learn to express their desire and they stop there. They think that showing interest is the entire game, and that's where they fail, because desire alone is incomplete. When a woman only feels that you want her, the interaction can start to feel one-dimensional. She might feel like she's just an object of your attraction, like she's being chosen for what she provides rather than for who she is, and that creates distance rather than connection. Think about it. Most men already communicate desire in some form. Compliments about her looks, flirtatious remarks, subtle hints. It's all centered around wanting something from her. So if you only upgrade your communication to be a more confident version of the same desire, you don't stand out as much as you think. You just become a bolder version of the exact same pattern. Women recognize this quickly, because attraction isn't just about feeling desired, it's about feeling understood. This brings us to the second part of the phrase, "I value you." This is the part that most men completely overlook, and this is the part that creates true emotional attachment. I value you. Not your looks, not just your presence, you. The moment a woman feels valued for who she is, not just desired for what she looks like, the entire dynamic changes. It becomes deeper. It becomes personal, and most importantly, it becomes unforgettable. Almost every woman is accustomed to being desired. Attention, compliments, flirtation, that's not rare. But being truly valued, that's exceptionally rare. That's what makes her pause. That's what makes her feel something she doesn't experience with the other men in her life. When you communicate value, you are showing her that you are paying attention. You are showing her that you are not just looking at her, but that you are actually seeing her. Now, let's be practical. Saying "I value you" does not mean you have to use those exact words every time. It's about the meaning behind what you say. It's about recognizing something specific about her that goes beyond the surface. Her way of thinking, her perspective on life, the way she carries herself. Something that feels deeply personal. Something that feels real. When your words reflect that kind of attention, they send a very clear message. You are not just anyone to me. That message creates emotional weight. It creates a bond. Imagine the difference. Instead of saying, "I want to see you again," you say, "I want to see you again. I value how easy it is to talk to you." Do you feel the shift? It's no longer just about what you want. It's about what you recognize in her. And that recognition is what creates connection. People are naturally drawn to those who see them clearly. We all crave to be understood. We all want to feel like someone notices the parts of us that most people overlook. When you become the man who does that, you automatically stand out. And there's another crucial layer here. When you express value the right way, it doesn't come from a place of need. It comes from a place of choice. There's a massive difference between saying something because you're hoping she will like you and saying something because you genuinely recognize her worth. One feels like you are seeking her approval. The other feels grounded and authentic. Women can feel that difference instantly.
Value that comes from neediness feels light and hollow. Value that comes from certainty feels real and substantial. So when you combine both parts, everything comes together. I want you, I value you. On one side, you have desire. On the other side, you have recognition. Individually, they're powerful, but together, they create a perfect balance. Because when a woman feels that you want her, there's tension, there's direction. But when she feels that you also value her, there's depth, there's emotional safety. Combine both and you create a rare experience. You are not just another man chasing her. You are a man who is both intentional and aware. Most interactions fall into one of two traps. A man is either overly passive, trying not to say the wrong thing, waiting for her to lead, or he's overly aggressive, focused only on what he wants, skipping over any real emotional connection. Both extremes fail. One lacks presence, the other lacks depth. But when you combine desire with value, you sit right in the middle. You lead, but you also understand. You express interest, but you also recognize her as a human being. That's where the real magic happens. But there's one thing that can completely destroy all of this if you're not careful, and that's misalignment. Words don't carry the message, your energy does. You can say the exact same phrase, and depending on your tone, your body language, and your presence, it can either create attraction or destroy it. Women are incredibly sensitive to this, not in a logical, analytical way, emotionally. They don't sit there dissecting your words. They feel whether what you're saying is real. If you say, I want you, but your voice is shaky and your posture is closed, the message won't land. It'll create doubt. Your words are saying one thing, but your energy is saying something entirely different. And when there's a mismatch, the human brain always trusts the energy over the words. This is why some men can say very little and feel incredibly powerful, while others can say the exact same things and feel awkward. It's the alignment. When you express, I want you, it needs to come from certainty, not loudness, not aggression, just calm, grounded certainty. Your posture should be relaxed but confident. Your eye contact should be steady and present. Certainty is not something you perform, it's something you embody. When you express, I value you, the energy shifts slightly. This is where sincerity comes in. You slow down, you give the moment space. Your tone softens just enough to show that what you're saying actually means something to you. If you rush it or say it casually, it loses its impact. It sounds like something you say to everyone, and the whole point is that it should feel specific to her. You can't fake this. The moment there's a slight disconnect between what you say and what you feel, it shows. It shows in your eyes, it shows in your voice, it shows in your timing. Authenticity is the foundation. If you don't genuinely feel what you're saying, it won't land. But when everything is aligned, your words, your tone, your presence, something powerful happens. The message becomes real. It carries weight. Finally, we must talk about timing, because even the right words spoken at the wrong moment will lose their impact. Many men learn something powerful and then try to use it everywhere, every conversation, every interaction. And what happens? It starts to feel forced. It starts to feel predictable. These 5 words are not something you throw around casually. They're meant for moments that already carry some level of connection, some level of energy. The first ideal moment is after a genuine conversation, when there's been a real flow between you. That's when saying, I want to see you again, I value how easy it is to talk to you, feels natural. It feels earned. The second moment is during sustained eye contact. Words hit differently when there's presence behind them. When you're looking at her, completely focused, not distracted, the words create a moment she feels in real time. The third moment is at the end of an interaction. Whatever is said last is what lingers the most. Instead of ending with a standard, talk to you later, you create a closing that carries emotional weight. Less is always more. You don't need to say this repeatedly. Its power comes from its precision, from being used at the exact right moment with the exact right energy. If every interaction you have feels slightly more intentional, slightly more grounded than what she's used to, you become associated with a feeling of clarity, a feeling of being truly seen. That's what makes her think about you when you're not around, not because you overwhelmed her with words, but because you said the right thing at the right time in the right way. So let's lock it in. It was never about having the perfect lines, it was never about saying more, and it was definitely never about trying to impress her. The men who get remembered are the ones who create a feeling that lingers. I want you, I value you. 5 simple words, but behind them is something much bigger. Desire expressed with certainty, recognition expressed with intention. When you combine both of those, you stop being just another interaction. You become an experience.